What is up, everybody? It is your boy, Isaac of the Dead, back with another nocturnal video. Surprisingly, the Daredevil season finale, Daredevil Born Again, or as I aptly called it, Daredevil Afterbirth, managed to do the impossible, nigh unthinkable, which was stick the landing on its season finale. Now, we're going to get right into some spoilers here, so spoiler warning if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. This is your spoiler warning now. Uh, this episode 9, was a banger. I'll admit it. I will admit it. I was wrong. They did stick the landing with this one. However, I'm not going to give this show a pass. Now, I, I'm eager to see what season 2 does. I'm eager about season 2. They've given enough goodwill for that. But this last episode being a banger does not excuse 5 episodes of dog shit, you know? So I'm not giving the show like, oh, the whole show is good because the finale is good. No, no, no. The finale was good in isolation. The rest of the show was dog shit, even far back as the beginning of the show. Now, it all has decent payoffs at the end for all the stuff that was dog shit in the beginning, but it's very frustrating. They wasted Muse, they wasted White Tiger, and they wasted a big chunk of time not having Daredevil in costume. You know, they had Punisher, they had Karen Page, and they just decided not to use them until this very last episode. So basically, after the previous episode where Matt walks into a bullet for Kingpin, he ends up in the hospital, and Kingpin decides to use that moment as a means to shut the city down. So he has his mob shut off all the power grid in New York City, and that way he could have his lackey go in and trying to assassinate Daredevil, Matt Murdock, in the hospital. Matt gets out, he goes home. The first thing he does is he plops his lazy ass on the couch, and Punisher just so happens to be in his apartment. And the Punisher's like, "So, what are you, gown man?" Now, John Bernthal, he acts his ass off as the Punisher, and they don't change the logo. They make the Punisher brutal. Now, my one complaint, my one sort of problem with the Punisher in this show in particular is I feel like he would be a little bit more like he'd question killing police officers, but at the same time, this is Punisher, and he will do the things that many other heroes and vigilantes won't do. So he probably has no problem killing dirty cops, basically, right? It's just, I know where Disney Marvel is coming from. I know what kind of message they're making with the task force about, oh, this is right wing culture, all that bullshit, right? They tone that down in this episode. They try not to make that so overt and insulting. So good on them for that. They didn't change the Punisher logo, so that's good. John Bernthal he's the Punisher. Doesn't change from the Netflix shows, right? So unfortunately he gets captured at the end of the episode, but there is a post credit scene where he escapes from being captured. I do think all that is important though, because that's probably going to set up for season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, and probably the next Spider-Man movie. I'm willing to bet that this has a payoff in the next Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland. Now, Daredevil, he went from kind of like a whiny crybaby bitch for the last couple episodes into finally the character we all know and love. He tries to stop Frank from killing the cops, and he tries to stop like he tries to redeem himself, and like he tries to like he refuses to kill the police officer, the dirty cops, the task force cops basically, and he starts to act like the character we know and love rather than the whiny feminized bitch from the last couple episodes. So that's good. Karen shows up again kind of randomly, but she found out that Benjamin Poindexter, Bullseye, got out of prison, and he doesn't really show up in this episode at all. You'd think that he would show up more. We did get a random flashback of Vanessa Fisk hiring him in what looked like a children's hospital. But she was the one who, it confirmed that she was the one that hired him to take out Foggy Nelson. And the reason why he did that in the first episode of the season was because Foggy was trying to file something against Vanessa. Turns out what that was about was they could not um, prosecute Vanessa Fisk, because the territory that she was dealing, you know, all the bad stuff on, uh, they couldn't. It was not under the New York jurisdiction. So Matt and Karen figure out later on in the episode that the the Fisks, both Wilson and Vanessa, are going to use that port to import all sorts of crazy shit, and they're going to turn New York into their own criminal state. I love that concept. I love the concept, and they even pay it off at the very end, where after the lights come on, Wilson Fisk declares martial law, sets a curfew, and makes vigilantism illegal, while he kidnaps and captures and encages all sorts of vigilantes, from the Punisher to Swordsman, and probably several others in there that we probably haven't seen yet. But he has them all in cages underneath his like little territory, like his I want to say basement, but it's more like dungeon kind of. I don't know. I don't remember. Secret lair. Secret lair. um, so yeah, Punisher escapes there in a post-credit scene because he's probably going to have his own Disney Plus special. I'm willing to bet. While Daredevil rallies the troops, and he starts a revolution of actual good cops or whatever. Most of them are diverse. Who would have guessed that all the good cops are diverse characters and all the bad cops are white? Who would have guessed? Disney Marvel. But yeah, this episode was bloody. It was very reminiscent of the Netflix shows in terms of violence and gore. And we finally got Kingpin growing some balls. And we have more of a egalitarian Fisk leadership between Vanessa running the crime world and Wilson being the mayor, making it, okay, double the power now, because now Wilson Fisk is the mayor. He allows all sorts of illegal activities to happen under his leadership. As were before, uh, and I forgive me for not believing it, because we've only been seeing Wilson Fisk get cucked and neutered for the last couple years, that I'm a little bit hesitant to believe that he actually grew his balls. But he tends. This episode seemed to be like the one where Wilson Fisk finally got his agency back as the Kingpin. People fear him now. People respect him and his power now. There's more of an egalitarian sort of sharing of power between him and his wife versus her just being the queen pin, right? And I'm okay with it, but what it took to get there, I'm not okay with. Like I said, this episode does not excuse the whole season being dog shit. Okay, and maybe season 2 will be better, maybe. But like I said, the whole of this season has been trash, and just because this one episode is good and that it's the finale, leaving us with a good taste in our mouths, does not excuse everything else. You know, it's got to be consistent. It's just got to be consistent. This is like the reverse of what we've seen with Disney Marvel, where we start off with a show that's pretty halfway decent, and by the finale we get to some dog shit, right? Like WandaVision, for example. But this was the reverse. We started off with a lot of dog shit and ended up somewhere halfway decent, pretty good, you know. No Foggy. I predicted that Foggy would be back by now. Like somehow they would resurrect him. They might do it for season 2. I don't know yet. I'm gonna hold off on that prediction. It's very possible that they probably just got rid of Foggy just to do it, just to push the story. But it's very likely they will bring him back. I'm not gonna say that they won't do it, right? But this looks like it's gonna set up Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland, and sort of a street level thing, which I would love to see. You know, a Spider-Man movie about, you know, with Kingpin and Daredevil and Punisher all together. That'd be great. I'm here for that. What else was I thinking of? This episode was good. I'm sure I'm forgetting something here. They do treat the task force like it's whenever, okay, this is what I'll say about the task force, the police officers. Whenever Punisher gets kidnapped by them and they beat the crap out of Punisher. They shoot him with these non-lethals, these like non-lethal bullets and pellets and stuff, and then they kidnap him for Kingpin. But there's a moment where they sit him down and they're like, "Oh, we're so happy to meet you, Frank Castle," and he's like, well, "You guys are a bunch of clowns." And at first, I thought that was the writers telling all the people who idolize the Punisher, like the military or the police, who use his logo. And they have every right to use his logo. They serve our country, so they should be able to use the logo. Frank Castle's character is a Marine. He was, somebody who had that logo because he was out there fighting a war, and so there's a lot of relation between people in the military and the character of Frank Castle. However, I do believe that if these people who use this logo understood the character of Frank Castle, maybe they wouldn't agree with it as much. Now, I'm not saying change the logo because that's something Marvel tried and it was dog shit. Never change Punisher's logo. That shit is legendary. And if the military and the police want to use it, let them. It's just a fucking logo. It doesn't represent alt-right violence. Fuck off, right? Just fuck off. But what this scene showed was that the people who do idolize the Punisher don't understand the Punisher's pain. They don't understand why he does what he does, and that in a lot of ways, Punisher is the villain. He might be a guy that takes out the bad guys. He takes out the trash, but do you think he feels good about it? Like, he just can't help himself. He's a violent animal, right? And he does it because he doesn't have a family anymore. That's why he takes out these police officers. Now, again, I still feel like he would be hesitant about it, but knowing that they are dirty cops, he probably feels a little differently, right? Again, it's a little bit of a here or there with the Punisher, but I'm glad that the showrunners and the writers had enough grace to do it where they told the fanboys, the task force, to fuck off without saying, oh, you're misrepresenting the logo, or that, you're using white privilege or whatever the fuck, right? And they actually understood Punisher's character. And I thought that was a brilliant way of doing that. And in that same scene, it was juxtaposed to Kingpin finally coming back into his own as Kingpin. And that scene was brutal and gnarly whenever he takes Commissioner Gallo, because Commissioner Gallo was the police commissioner that decided that he was going to take his complaints to the governor and to higher ups in New York City. So Kingpin finally becomes the Kingpin again. Again, I'm not holding my breath that that's going to stay that way for very long. But Wilson wraps his fists around Gallo's skull and does the Kali vice grip, turning his head into a fucking Gallagher watermelon. And they used prosthetics to make the dude's head like crush and explode until Wilson broke his jaw and like pulled his head. It was gnarly. The prosthetics on that were gnarly, and it was just like turned his head into a fucking watermelon. It was brutal. And I was like, damn, that's fucking crazy. So I'm glad that Kingpin is in a better place than he was in the previous couple episodes and the last couple of years. And finally, Matt Murdock is not acting like a little bitch. And Karen's back. No Foggy. Punisher was great. Like I said, again, I'm repeating myself here, but one good episode, even as the finale, does not excuse all the other dog shit. It does not excuse the other episodes. It doesn't excuse Falcon, Black Falcon, Captain America. It doesn't excuse anything else. Doesn't excuse Thunderbolts. Doesn't excuse all the gender politics and Fantastic Four news lately. But hey, at least we're getting something halfway decent here. I'll take what I can get. But let me know if I missed anything. Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Did you like Daredevil Born Again? Was it Daredevil Afterbirth? Did this season finale redeem the show for you? Or did it just say, nah, these guys don't deserve my respect? Honestly, all opinions there are validated. But let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't smoke crack, guys. And yeah. All right. I see you, Marvel. I see what you're doing.